Welcome back, Achievement Hunters, to Dyson Sphere Program. Today we're going to try 2 of the new speedrun related achievements that require us to complete specific challenges within an hour. The first is called Strangle in the Cradle, and it requires us to remove a planetary base. The second is called Won't Lay Low, and it requires us to attract an attack from outer space. The beauty is that you can do both of these in the same run. However, there are some caveats to these achievements. Let me explain. When it says remove a planetary base, it specifically means to fill the well left behind with either landfill or a geothermal power plant. Destroying the relay station above is not enough for this achievement. As for attracting an attack from outer space, hitting 100% threat with the hive will not always be enough. While I was testing this, you have to use the correct dark fog settings in order for this to work correctly. If you try this achievement and the hive is stuck at assembling, it means your settings are not high enough. Hopefully this will be patched in the future, but for now, start a new game with the following settings. Set the hive's initial growth to 200%, the max density to 3 times, and the combat threat factor to 1000%. If you want to follow along with what I'm doing in this playthrough, the seed for this cluster is at the top and will also be in the description. Honestly though, most seeds will work as long as the iron, copper, stone, and coal are all close to your starting point. Our goal for this run is to target 2 specific technologies. The missile turret technology allows us to destroy the base and attack the relay station to aggro the hive. And reclamation, which lets us build foundations to fill the well. We'll need about 300 of them total. While missile technology unlocks pretty easily, you do need to unlock a few other technologies in order to even craft those items. Steel smelting for the steel, combustible unit for the missiles, but it also makes a good fuel for Icarus, and electromagnetic drives. What's nice about these achievements is that they only take at most an hour of your time. If it fails or takes too long, it's quick and easy to try again. By the way, if you want to see another speedrun video of mine, check out my One Giant Leap for Mankind video, where I get the achievement for landing on another planet within an hour. Like most speedruns, the first couple of minutes makes a big difference. Start by queuing up some technologies, including electromagnetism, metallurgy, assembling, logistics, mechacore, and electromagnetic matrix. By the way, a word of warning, do not spend any metadata unlocking this research. Spending metadata disables the achievements we're working towards. The first tech, electromagnetism, gives us 1 wind turbine and 1 mining machine. Use this to farm iron ore quicker while you work on copper. Automatic metallurgy gives us 3 arc smelters, but don't place them all down at once. Start with automating iron ingots to help craft more wind turbines to meet your power demands first. I also like to turn on the power grid overlay since it will immediately tell me if I need to make more wind turbines or not. Once you have some stable power, slowly add the remaining smelters for magnets and copper ingots. For those that don't know, there's a couple tricks that can make speedrunning a little easier. Firstly, you can quickly loot what's inside of something by control-clicking it. Secondly, you can quickly drop materials into miners, assemblers, or storage by pressing the tab key while inspecting them. Use these features as often as possible. You'll see me use them a lot more closer to the end of the run. Also, don't forget to watch your fuel. Running out of power can be pretty devastating for a speedrun. Once assemblers are unlocked, you want to use them to automate as many things as possible. Your first assembler should be for gears, since a lot of the buildings you'll be building require those, and you should have a decent supply of iron ingots available now. Following that, build another mining machine for the copper, then eventually unlock logistics to automate this whole setup. Naturally, as things grow, keep adding more wind turbines to keep up with the power demands. You'll eventually also want to build a miner for stone, and some assemblers to automate magnetic coils and circuit boards as you move on to matrices. You'll also want to build several storage boxes since most assemblers can't hold more than a few items. After the 9-minute mark, I start working on a plan to automate my research. I set up multiple miners for copper and iron because I want full belts leading into my smelters. I use at least 2 smelters for copper, 2 smelters for iron ingots, and 3 smelters for magnets, all of which lead into 2 assemblers making magnetic coils and circuit boards required for electromagnetic matrices. It gets pretty messy, and it doesn't help that one of the tropics is right next to my starting point. While I'm working on this plan, the whole time I'm juggling the task of crafting multiple miners, smelters, assemblers, belts, sorters, all while building more wind turbines to keep the power going. It's also around this time that the bases will launch their first attack. There are only 3 vessels each, so it shouldn't be too distracting. Now that I'm producing coils and circuits for matrices, I automate some glass to more easily build 5 more matrix slabs. Then I can queue up all the necessary research that I need for these achievements. By the way, another cool feature they added recently is that you can pause the game while looking at the tech tree. My new research queue includes some of the things I mentioned before: electromagnetic drives, engines, the new combustible units, steel smelting. I also throw in some mech speed, which is entirely optional, reclamation for the foundations, and missile turrets. Anything else beyond this is purely optional. At 18 minutes, I'm now at a point where I am consistently producing 2 electromagnetic matrices per second. It's a spaghetti mess, but it works. It's also by this point that my starter fuel might be running out. However, the new combustible units are coming next. I'm preparing a build to act as my new fuel source, as well as to supply part of the ingredients for missiles. It's a pretty simple build. Coal is pushed into 3 assemblers, making combustible units, who then push those items into a storage box since I'll need a lot of them. With this build set up, all I need to do is select the recipe once it's unlocked. I can also use some of the raw coal in the meanwhile as fuel until the research is complete. To prepare for any future assaults, and because they're pretty cheap, it also wouldn't hurt to automate some ammunition for ourselves and any turrets we've built. Remember that it helps to have assemblers automating every kind of ingredient. Whether it's gears, engines, bullets, magnetic coils, or circuit boards, the sooner you can get a machine to craft the items for you, the faster this run will be. Once steel smelting is unlocked, you should now start building a stockpile of it. Speaking of stockpiles, let me quickly go over some of our goals. In order to close the well that the relay station leaves behind, you need around 300 foundations. Foundations take 1 steel and 3 stone bricks each, meaning we need at least 300 steel and 900 stone bricks produced. Having 2 smelters for bricks and 2 smelters for steel should work, but it's important to put those into storage since we need to make so many of them. Also, in order to make at least 10 missile turrets, we need lots of steel, engines, and circuit boards. It's important to start building a stockpile of all of these early on. The reclamation technology requires 400 matrices, so it takes a while to research. While it's working, I set up its production in advance. 1 storage box that's going to contain steel and bricks, with sorters that push those resources into 2 assemblers, then those 2 assemblers push their foundations into another storage for later. This is similar to what I did for the combustible units. Build the automation now, then simply select the recipe when the tech is unlocked. Once the technology for missiles is complete, it's time to build the last items we'll need. I personally aim for at least 10 turrets and at least 100 to 150 missiles. Again, use assemblers to craft each ingredient. To reiterate, missile turrets require steel, motors, circuit boards, and engines. Hopefully you'll start with a large stockpile of these items, while a lot of your assemblers keep producing even more. If you're ever lacking something, build more miners or assemblers and build your slowest ingredients faster. You can also start automating the missiles you're going to need too. Missiles need copper ingots, circuit boards, combustible units, and engines. To make sure your production doesn't stop, push those missiles into storage boxes and keep production flowing. Remember to make use of all the new controls that help move materials faster. As you can see, near the end of the run, most of what I'm doing at this point is picking stuff up and dropping it off where it's needed. It's also good to note that I'm doing pretty good on time right now. We're only 37 minutes in, and I now have 300 foundations. Once a production line is no longer needed, deleting it will help reduce the strain on power and free up other resources for other places. Since missiles need copper and circuit boards, having a lot of basic copper and iron ingots will help a lot. At 41 minutes, I'm almost ready to launch an assault. Before that, I'm going to wait for their attacks before I move on. Now that everything is ready, it's time to attack. You should save your game at this point in case anything goes bad. For example, it happened to me a couple times where I walked halfway through their base and realized I forgot to craft any spare power towers and wind turbines in order to power my missile turrets over there. Speaking of which, 10 towers and at least 20 to 30 wind turbines should be enough. When you get near their base, first set up your power before getting too close. Then, encroach slowly with your turrets. The Gauss turrets will take care of the smaller units, while your missile turrets will do all the damage. With everything you've built, this base should be cleared out pretty quickly. Once the base has been completely cleared out, let's get those 2 achievements. First, set one of your missile turret's upper air priority to high so that it starts attacking the relay station. Then, copy that setting to all of your other missile turrets. You'll quickly notice that the hive's threat will increase dramatically. If the difficulty settings you used were correct, the hive should send some vessels to attack, giving you Won't Lay Low. Now, just fill in the well to get Strangle in the Cradle. Congratulations, you've completed the 2 Dark Fog speedrun achievements. Being attacked from the hive can destroy a lot of your buildings and potentially end your game, so it's up to you whether you want to continue with this playthrough or not. Either way, you should enjoy the light show. That's it for now. I'll see you next time.